Listen, before you say anything, I want to ask you something personal. When was the last time you stood up from a chair without using your arms to push yourself up? When was the last time you walked up a full flight of stairs without stopping halfway to catch your breath or steady your legs? When was the last time you carried your own groceries from the car to the kitchen without feeling like your legs might give out? If those questions just hit a little too close to home, I need you to stay with me. Because what I'm about to share in the next few minutes could be the most important thing you watch this year. There is a food that costs less than $2 at any grocery store. A simple, humble food that your grandmother probably had on her table every single week. And science, with peer-reviewed studies from top research institutions around the world, is now confirming that this food rebuilds muscle after 60 in a way that no expensive supplement, no protein powder, and no red meat can match. I know that sounds like a bold claim, but stay with me, because the science behind it will genuinely surprise you. But before we dive in, let me introduce myself for those watching for the first time. I'm Dr. Santiago Garcia. I'm a physician who has spent over 2 decades specializing in the health of adults over 60. And in all those years of sitting across from patients in my office, I've learned something important. The biggest threats to quality of life after 60 are not always the dramatic ones. They're the quiet ones, the slow ones, the ones that sneak up on you so gradually that by the time you notice, you've already lost more than you realized. And I would love to know where you're watching from today. Drop your city in the comments below. It means a lot to me to know that this information is reaching the right people. Now, let's get into it, because what I'm about to share is going to completely change the way you think about your diet. Before I reveal the food, I want to tell you about a patient of mine. Margaret was 66 years old when she first walked into my office. She sat down across from me, folded her hands on her lap, and said something I still think about today. "Doctor, nothing is technically wrong with me. No pain, no fever, no diagnosis, but I feel like I'm disappearing, like my body is slowly becoming less of itself." She described, in the most human words I've ever heard, one of the most serious and most overlooked conditions in modern medicine. The medical term is sarcopenia, but I prefer to call it what it actually is: muscle loss. And here's what most people don't know. After the age of 60, the human body begins losing muscle mass at a rate that most people find shocking when they first hear it. Without intervention, we lose between 3 and 5% of our muscle mass every single year. That sounds small, but do the math. In just 5 years, that's up to 25% of your muscle gone. And this isn't just about looking thinner or feeling weaker. Muscle is your balance system. Muscle is what keeps you upright when you trip. Muscle is what lets you get out of bed on your own, carry your groceries, get down on the floor to play with your grandchildren, and then stand back up again. When muscle disappears, independence disappears with it. The question I get more than any other from my patients is this: "Doctor, I eat meat every week. How am I still losing muscle?" And the answer is going to surprise you, because the problem might be coming from the very food you've always believed was helping you. Stick with me, because in just a couple of minutes, I'm going to reveal the food. And more importantly, I'm going to explain why what you're currently eating may be working against your muscles without you ever knowing it. For decades, everyone heard the same thing repeated over and over. Meat has protein. Protein builds muscle, so eat more meat. Simple logic. It makes sense on the surface, and for a long time, it was mostly true. The problem is that after 60, your body changes in ways that break that simple logic completely. Let me explain it with an analogy that's easy to picture. Think of your stomach as a processing plant. When you were 30 or 35 years old, that plant was running at full capacity. You'd eat a steak, and the plant would break it down efficiently. It would extract the protein, convert it into exactly the right building blocks, and ship them straight to your muscles. Everything working smoothly, on schedule, no waste. But after 60, that plant starts slowing down. Fewer workers, older equipment. Your stomach produces less hydrochloric acid, which is the fluid responsible for breaking down the protein in meat. Your digestive enzymes decrease. Your intestine moves more slowly. The result? You eat the same steak you always ate, but your body absorbs far less of it. A large portion of that protein never reaches your muscles. It sits in your gut, ferments, causes bloating and gas, and that uncomfortable heaviness that so many people over 60 feel after eating red meat and just assume is a normal part of aging. It isn't normal. It's a sign that the processing plant is struggling. But here's the part that changes everything. And I need you to really hear this because it explains so much. Red meat, especially when eaten frequently after the age of 60, creates a state of inflammation inside the body. And chronic inflammation is the single greatest enemy of muscle mass in older adults. Here's why. Inflammation blocks something called protein synthesis. In plain English, even if some of that protein does reach your muscles, an inflamed body cannot use that protein to rebuild and strengthen muscle tissue. Think of it like this. Imagine you're trying to water a garden. The water is clean and fresh, but someone has filled your garden hose with pebbles. The water goes in, but it barely comes out. You're trying to nourish something, but the system is blocked. You feed your body, but the muscle doesn't grow. So what's the solution? What did Margaret eat that helped her get her strength back? Stay with me just a little longer, because the reveal is coming right now. And I'll be honest with you, the reaction most people have is surprise. You might have that reaction too. The food is sardines. Yes, the little can of sardines that sits on the bottom shelf of every grocery store for under $2. I know what you're thinking. Doctor, I expected something exotic, something impressive. Give me 30 more seconds before you scroll away, because what I'm about to show you is going to completely change the way you see that small, inexpensive can. A single can of sardines contains roughly 25 grams of high-quality protein. That's nearly identical to a medium-sized chicken breast, but it fits in your jacket pocket and costs less than a cup of coffee. But sardines don't stop at protein. They come with a complete package that no red meat can offer. And that package has 5 components I want to walk you through right now, one at a time, in plain, simple language. The first is omega-3, the inflammation extinguisher. Remember how I said inflammation blocks muscle growth? The omega-3 fatty acids in sardines, present in extraordinarily high amounts, are the most powerful natural anti-inflammatory agent that science has ever identified. So think about this carefully. Red meat brings protein, but it also brings more inflammation. You're trying to build muscle while simultaneously fueling the fire that's destroying it. Sardines bring the same protein, but they also bring the omega-3 that puts out that fire. They deliver the building materials and remove the obstacle at the exact same time. If red meat is a construction crew that brings bricks but knocks half of them over, sardines are a construction crew that brings the bricks, keeps them all standing, and brings the right foreman to make sure every single one gets placed correctly. The second is leucine, the muscle switch. Leucine is an amino acid, a specific component of protein, and it is the key that flips the switch for muscle construction inside your cells. Without enough leucine, your muscles can receive protein and simply not know what to do with it. They sit idle. The signal never fires. Sardines are naturally rich in leucine. Every can already comes loaded with a significant dose of this essential amino acid. It's as if sardines don't just bring the construction materials. They bring the instruction manual for assembling everything correctly. The third is calcium from the soft bones. When you eat canned sardines, you're also eating the tiny soft bones inside. And those bones are an extraordinarily rich source of calcium. Calcium that goes directly to your bones, the very same bones that support the muscles you're trying to rebuild. Strong muscle on fragile bones solves nothing. It's like putting a powerful new engine into a car with a rusted frame. At some point, the whole thing fails. Sardines strengthen your muscle and your bones simultaneously. Each one supports the other. The fourth is vitamin D. After 60, vitamin D deficiency is a silent epidemic. Your skin produces less of it with sun exposure. Your intestinal absorption decreases. And without adequate vitamin D, calcium can't be properly used. Muscles weaken faster, and your risk of falling increases significantly. Sardines are one of the only natural food sources of vitamin D that exists. A single can already contributes meaningfully to your daily requirement. And the fifth, which surprises people the most, effortless digestion. Remember the processing plant that's slowing down? Sardines are the food that asks the least of it. The protein in sardines is softer, easier to break down, and faster to absorb. A body over 60 can extract significantly more usable protein from sardines than from the same amount of red meat. It's the difference between asking someone to peel an orange and asking them to crack open a walnut with their bare hands. The end result might be similar, but the effort required is completely different. And after 60, reducing the burden on your body makes all the difference. Before we continue, I want to ask you for something. And this isn't for me. It's for someone you care about. If you've made it this far, this topic matters to you. Maybe you're feeling that weakness in your own legs. Maybe it's someone in your family. Maybe you're watching this because you want to help someone you love. YouTube only understands that this content is important when real people engage with it. So right now, would you do me a small favor? Hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and tell me in the comments, do you already eat sardines? Or is this the first time you're hearing that they can do this for your muscles? Every comment, every like, helps YouTube show this video to one more person who is sitting at home right now, losing strength, not knowing what to do about it. You could be the reason someone finds this information today. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Now let's keep going. Now I need to teach you how to use sardines the right way, because there is a way that works and a way that wastes everything. And the most common mistake is also the most delicious one to make. Frequency. How many times per week? For the effect on muscle mass to be real and consistent, you need to eat sardines at least 3 times a week. 4 or 5 times is ideal. I know that sounds like a lot, but remember, we're talking about a can that costs under $2. Eating 5 cans in a week costs you less than $10. Tell me what protein supplement does the same thing for $10 a week. The best time of day. The best time to eat sardines with muscle recovery in mind is at lunch. Why? Because it's during the afternoon and overnight that your body does the majority of its muscle repair work. By securing those amino acids at midday, you're leaving the fuel tank full for when your body needs it most. But if you walk, exercise, or do any kind of physical activity, even just a 20-minute walk, try to eat your sardines within an hour after that activity. That's the window when your muscles are most receptive, like a dry sponge finally meeting water, the combination that multiplies the effect. Sardines alone are already powerful, but paired with certain foods, the effect multiplies. Sardines with lemon. The vitamin C in lemon juice increases your absorption of the iron in sardines and amplifies the anti-inflammatory effect of the omega-3. Nutritionists call this a synergistic combination. 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2, it equals 3. Sardines with sweet potato. Sweet potato provides slow-burning carbohydrates. And here's a secret most people don't know. Without a minimum amount of carbohydrate, protein cannot be transported efficiently to the muscles. Think of it like having a warehouse full of building supplies but no delivery trucks. The materials just sit there. Nothing gets built. Many people cut out carbohydrates entirely thinking they're being healthy, but they're actually preventing protein from reaching the muscles that need it most. Sweet potato is the delivery truck, the mistake that destroys everything. And now, the error I promised you at the very beginning. The single biggest mistake people make with sardines is frying them. I understand. Fried sardines are delicious. They're crispy. They smell like comfort food. And that's exactly why this mistake is so easy to make. But when you fry sardines, 2 things happen at once. First, the omega-3, that powerful anti-inflammatory that makes sardines superior to red meat, is destroyed by the high heat of frying. You lose the entire advantage. What remains is essentially fish protein, with no special benefit compared to anything else you could eat. Second, the frying oil adds a significant load of inflammatory fat. So not only do you lose the anti-inflammatory, you actually add inflammation. It is the worst possible outcome. It's like calling the fire department and having them arrive with gasoline instead of water. I know this is hard to hear, especially for anyone who loves fried sardines. But the truth has to be said. The best ways to eat sardines for muscle recovery, in order. First and best option. Canned sardines in water and salt. They're already cooked and ready. You open the can, squeeze lemon over them, add a little sliced onion, a drizzle of olive oil, and eat. The omega-3 is completely intact. The protein is fully preserved. Simple, fast, and effective. Second option, canned sardines in olive oil. Olive oil has its own anti-inflammatory properties, so it doesn't cancel out the benefits. Still, an excellent choice. Third option, fresh sardines baked in the oven or on the grill. The oven's heat is far gentler than frying and preserves the omega-3 much better. And an important warning, please avoid sardines in industrialized tomato sauce. Those sauces are typically loaded with added sugar, excess sodium, and preservatives that promote inflammation. You buy them thinking you're making a healthy choice, and the sauce quietly undoes a significant portion of the benefit. If you enjoy tomato, make it at home. Fresh tomatoes, olive oil, garlic, a little salt. Simple, clean, and genuinely healthy. Now, for those of you who like to understand the why behind things, and I know many of you do, let me explain what actually happens inside your muscle tissue when you start eating sardines consistently. After 60, the body enters a state that scientists call anabolic resistance. The name sounds technical, but the concept is straightforward. Your muscles become resistant to the signals that tell them to rebuild. Even when they receive protein, they take longer to respond. It's like trying to call someone who is gradually losing their hearing. The sound reaches them, but the message doesn't come through clearly enough to act on. The leucine in sardines speaks louder. It's the amino acid that sends the strongest possible signal to your muscle cells, telling them to begin the reconstruction process. But omega-3 does something even more remarkable. It makes your muscles more sensitive to that signal. It restores the hearing, in a sense. So the leucine doesn't need to shout as loudly because the muscle is finally paying attention again. That combination, high-quality protein plus omega-3, is exactly what makes sardines more effective than red meat after 60. Red meat sends the signal, but the inflamed muscle can't hear it. Sardines send the signal and simultaneously fix the reception. Once you start eating sardines regularly, how do you know it's working? Between weeks 2 and 3, the first change won't appear in your muscles. It will appear in your energy. You'll wake up feeling more alert. Your body will feel lighter. Getting out of bed will require noticeably less effort. This happens because before building new muscle, your body is first reducing the chronic inflammation that was destroying existing muscle. When inflammation drops, everything improves together. Between weeks 4 and 6, you'll notice real muscular improvement. Your legs will feel more solid. Climbing stairs will get easier. Standing up from a chair will take less effort. Between weeks 8 and 10, other people will start to notice. You'll be moving differently. You'll seem stronger, more present, more like yourself. I had a patient named Frank, 69 years old, retired construction worker, a man who had spent his entire career doing physical labor. He came to me embarrassed because he needed to hold the handrail with both hands just to get up 3 steps at his own front door. He told me, "Doctor, I spent 40 years building other people's houses and now I can't even get up my own front steps without help." 8 weeks after replacing his daily red meat with sardines 4 times a week, combined with 25-minute morning walks, Frank sent me a voicemail. He had walked to the corner store alone, picked up a few things, and walked back home. And he said something in that message that I have never forgotten. "Doc, I feel like myself again." That's what this is really about. Not just muscle. Feeling like yourself again. Feeling like your body still belongs to you. Before we close, I have to be completely straight with you about a few situations where sardines need to be approached with care. If you have elevated uric acid or gout, sardines contain purines that can worsen those conditions in some individuals. This doesn't mean you can never eat them. It means you need to talk with your doctor about the right amount for your specific situation. If you take blood thinners such as warfarin, the omega-3 in sardines can amplify the effect of your medication. Before increasing your sardine intake, please let your doctor know. If you have a fish or seafood allergy, this food is clearly not for you. But please stay until the very end of this video, because I'm going to leave you with an alternative. I share these warnings because information without care can do more harm than good. My goal is not for you to trade one problem for another. My goal is for you to live better. And one final point that I cannot stress enough. Sardines are fuel, but muscle needs a signal before it can use that fuel. If you eat sardines and spend the entire day on the couch, the results will be minimal. A 20-minute walk, a few slow squats holding the kitchen counter, going up and down 1 step. Any movement at all sends the signal to your muscles to use the fuel you're giving them. The stimulus and the fuel together are unstoppable. Apart, they are each only half of what they could be. I want to say something from the heart before we say goodbye. Losing muscle after 60 is not just about muscle. It's about freedom. It's about being able to go to the grocery store by yourself. It's about climbing a flight of stairs without the fear of falling. It's about getting down on the floor with your grandchildren and being able to stand back up. It's about showering, dressing, and moving through your day without needing to ask for help. Sarcopenia takes all of that away quietly, slowly, day by day, and most people don't realize how much they've lost until they've lost far too much. A little can of sardines is not going to change the world, but it might change yours. It might give back the strength that time has been quietly taking away, and it costs less than a cup of coffee. If this video helped you, please hit the thumbs up right now. Every like helps this video reach one more person who is losing muscle and doesn't know what to do about it. Share this video with someone you love, your parent, your sibling, your neighbor, your closest friend. Sometimes people desperately need to hear something, but no one around them is saying it. You can be the person who says it. Subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. Every week I bring you practical, accessible information about living stronger, healthier, and more independently after 60. And for those of you who cannot eat sardines due to allergies or other conditions, in my next video, I'm going to reveal the seed that contains more protein than meat, and that virtually anyone can eat without restriction. You do not want to miss that one. A warm embrace from your Dr. Santiago Garcia. Take care of your muscles. They are your freedom. I'll see you next week.